over the past couple of years, the right wing have become big fans of Vladimir Putin. And I don't mean they criticize Obama or Biden for their handling of Putin. Of course you can do that. You can criticize them about U.S.-Russia relations and their policies and their interactions with Putin. That's not what I'm talking about. You could do that stuff without emphasizing how great or strong or cool or how much you like or love Putin, who is an authoritarian leader, treats his own people horribly. But, they can't just make the critique. They have increasingly shown their ass that they actually support the Kremlin and Vladimir Putin. Obviously, you got your mainstream Republicans who still criticize Russia because of Cold War holdovers and stuff like that. But in terms of the Trump orbit, MAGA world, Make America Great Again, they're big fans of Putin. But this has all of a sudden become a controversial take since Putin has invaded Ukraine in just the past 24, 48 hours. And it's even more stunning because they're still showing their ass and sharing their like of Putin, their support of Putin, while he's doing this. And I mean, I can tell you that, and you don't have to believe me. That's fine. Why should you believe me? So what I did was bring you some proof. I have some recent clips I'm going to share with you that show exactly that dynamic that I just mentioned to you. Again, these aren't clips that are just criticizing U.S. administration's handling of whatever the current relations with Putin or Russia is. This is straight up, I should say, support of Putin. Let's play some of these clips. And what better person to start with than the guy who, quite frankly, helped get the right there, the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Here he is, literally, as Putin is doing imperialism on Ukraine.
Of what he's doing. I went in yesterday and there was a television screen and I said, this is genius. Putin declares a big portion of the Ukraine. Putin declares it as independent. Oh, that's wonderful. So Putin is now saying it's independent, a large section of Ukraine. I said, how smart is that? And he's going to go in and be a peacekeeper. That's the strongest peace force. We could use that on our southern border. That's the strongest peace force I've ever seen. There were more army tanks than I've ever seen. They're going to keep peace all right. No, but think of it. Here's a guy who's very savvy. I know him very well. Very, very well. By the way, this never would have happened.
So we got genius. What was it? We got genius. Let's make sure we got all the this is genius. Oh, that's wonderful. How smart is that? The strongest peace force, because he knows what that really means. Strongest peace force I've ever seen. Let's continue playing.
Force I've ever seen. There were more army tanks than I've ever seen. They're going to keep peace all right. No, but think of it. Here's a guy who's very savvy.
Very savvy.
Very well. Very, very well. By the way, this never would have happened with us. Had I been in office, not even thinkable. This would never have happened. But here's a guy that says, I'm going to declare a big portion of Ukraine independent. He used the word independent. and we're going to go out and we're going to go in and we're going to help keep peace. You got to say that's pretty savvy. And you know what the response was from Biden? There was no response.
All right, that's Trump. And if Trump's not enough for you, here's really, in my estimation, the real thought leader of essentially the conservative movement in the United States now, Steve Bannon, talking with the leader of literal mercenaries, Eric Prince, on his podcast War Room. Let's see what he has to say about Putin.
And the reason that Putin ain't woke, he is anti-woke.
The Russians, people still know which bathroom to use.
I should say, before we get to the rest of this clip, that this is them discussing why the right, or why people in general, should be for Vladimir Putin, why you should like the guy.
Ain't woke. He is anti-woke.
The Russians, people still know which bathroom to use.
They know how many genders are there in Russia?
2.
Okay, that's all of a sudden that's not they don't have the flags. They don't have the pride flags outside on their.
They don't have boys swimming in girls' college swim meets.
How backward!
It's embarrassing.
How savage! How medieval! How medieval! This is why this whole thing's a scam. It's a total and complete scam. And here's the beauty of it.
You should understand that here's Steve Bannon, and with Eric Prince of all people, talking about how great Putin is because they do Nazi crackdowns on the LGBT community, whose human rights are in danger every single day in the great country under the great Kremlin in Russia. And that's what they like about it. And that's why that's why you as a conservative should like Putin. You know, he's selling you Putin. He's literally selling him to you. But again, if that's not enough, maybe the rank and file doesn't really feel that way. Well, here's Gavin Wax of the New York Young Republican Club on OAN just today. Let's see what he has to say.
Versus evil, the good guys winning the day. This is simply about trying to protect a state that's a thorn in the side to Russia. And Russia is a nationalistic Christian country that has been a thorn in the side to the globalists' agenda. So they're trying to do everything they can to isolate Russia, to marginalize Russia, and to expand these institutions, these global institutions' control over more areas of the world. And Ukraine is just the latest battleground in that fight.
Right. Russia's just a good Christian nationalist country defending themselves. Right. Yes, of course. But if that's not enough, here's Tucker Carlson just a day or two ago. And I grabbed this clip because it was already cut for me, exactly the part that I wanted to play for you guys. But it also happens to be Russia Today's version that they subtitled for their audience so they could read it and know what he was saying for the Russian-speaking audience. You know, just to show you how on point Tucker is to the Kremlin's propaganda arm, RT. Let's play this clip.
Since the day that Donald Trump became president, Democrats in Washington have told you have a patriotic duty to hate Vladimir Putin. It's not a suggestion, it's a mandate. Anything less than hatred for Putin is treason. Many Americans have obeyed this directive. They now dutifully hate Vladimir Putin. Maybe you're one of them. Hating Putin has become the central purpose of America's foreign policy. It's the main thing that we talk about. Entire cable channels are now devoted to it. Very soon, that hatred of Vladimir Putin could bring the United States into a conflict in Eastern Europe. Before that happens, it might be worth asking yourself, since it is getting pretty serious, what is this really about? Why do I hate Putin so much? Has Putin ever called me a racist? Has he threatened to get me fired for disagreeing with him? Has he shipped every middle-class job in my town to Russia? Did he manufacture a worldwide pandemic that wrecked my business and kept me indoors for 2 years? Is he teaching my children to embrace racial discrimination? Is he making fentanyl? Is he trying to snuff out Christianity? Does he eat dogs? These are fair questions, and the answer to all of them is no. Vladimir Putin didn't do any of that. So why does permanent Washington hate him so much?
Right. Of course. Right. Yeah. And again, this is just Tucker Carlson. Maybe just, maybe this is just one. This is, you go, okay, Matt, you gave me Trump, you gave me Steve Bannon, you gave me the head of the New York Young Republicans, you gave me Tucker Carlson. Come on, who else? That's it, Matt, right? Well, no. Because you can go back years, which I did, just to find some other takes well before even the current situation with Ukraine, to see that even then, since Trump has come into the picture, they've all of a sudden become very pro and supportive of Putin. Here is Alex Jones. Let me cue this up. Again, we're running the gamut here of all the different types of sub-genres, I guess you could say, subsections, subgroups of the conservative movement here.
I've never been to Russia. I mean, I know why they hate him so much, because if we start adopting what Putin's saying, the United States will be twice as powerful as Russia. This isn't about who's powerful. It's about Putin saying he doesn't like seeing America collapse and become wicked and demonic and feminized.
Right.
And he's telling the truth. He's trying to help us. And he's saying that the Bolsheviks did this to us and they're doing it to you. Wow. Vladimir Putin saying the Bolsheviks are bad. That's why they fear him so much. And people think that they're going to duck criticism if they just attack Putin. I don't lionize any of these world leaders. I don't count on them. I count on God. But it's crazy. So that's a whole other subject there. In fact, I could spend a whole hour just on this clip. It almost doesn't even do it justice, including one a month ago I never even got to. I just mentioned the headlines. I read a few quotes where Putin's like saying incredible stuff about America needs Jesus and needs God. If you don't have God, you're going to have the devil. I mean, just incredible. He opposes mandatory injections, says people should get vaccinated without coercion. And he's talking about his real vaccine that's also got problems. So just incredible.
There is the first of that. But my guest earlier today, the Russian socialist writer, Igor Kokin, said about that turn in Russia to align with the American conservative movement, Christian nation, family values. Let's go to another one. This is from, here's a clip. Again, there's no proof of right-wingers supporting Putin. Here's a clip from the Obama era, the Obama years, with Christian right-wing broadcaster Brian Fisher and Scott Lively. Let's listen to this one.
Russians have they've really stabilized now. They've got their legs under them after all the difficulties of Glasnost, and I think they're not going back to the Soviet model. They're reaching back to the Tsarist model, really, when the Russian Orthodox Church was very strong and they had Christian values in their society. And I think it's a positive thing for the whole world.
Well, and again, I don't know where Vladimir Putin is in his heart, but he has said very kind things about Christianity. He celebrated last year the 1025th anniversary of the coming of Christianity to Russia. He's talked about the importance of Christianity and the history of Russia, how our values need to be shaped by Christianity. So, I mean, it's just a bizarre thing, Scott, and we got about 30 seconds left, just a bizarre thing that the leader of Russia now sounds more like somebody who supports and embraces Christianity than the president of the United States, which has always been a Christian country.
That's right. And across the board, our country is far more Marxist in the academia, in the media, in this presidential administration. And the Russian Federation has now just passed a flat tax, and business is booming in their country. It's like a role reversal, and I think that if other countries of the world adopt the Russian policy, we can build a barrier against this global homosexual agenda, and perhaps even start to roll it back here at home.
And there's the global homosexual agenda, right? And if that isn't enough, here's another evangelical radio talker on Putin too.
You want a clear villain in this story? It's hard to make Putin the villain if you have all the facts, because the CIA and Hillary Clinton tried to invade Russia to undercut Putin, to bring the LGBT doctrine in. They had activists there. Putin locked it down, kicked them out, and clamped down like a good dictator does.
And here's one more I can pull up for you. This is Tucker Carlson again. And this one's pretty wild. This is from a few years ago as well. But this one's pretty wild, especially in light of the current situation with Ukraine and Russia.
On the front lines. You think it's a joke?
Why do I care? Why do I care what's going on in the conflict between Ukraine and Russia? And I'm serious. Like, why do I care?
Tell you why.
And why shouldn't I root for Russia, which I am?
Because those of us who are watching.
Why should I care about the conflict between Ukraine and Russia? And why shouldn't I be rooting for Russia? Which I am, said Tucker. I mean, I don't know how much clearer you guys need to get. I've run the gamut, the Christian right, the cable news right, the podcaster right, the literal like think tank right, the former Republican president right, the young Republican right, the conspiratorial right. And to really just hone in here about how blatant this is to even people who are many times these guys' allies, here's a clip I found from a few years ago. I think this is 2018 or 2019. From Joe Rogan. It gets better. Talking to Jimmy Dore on the Joe Rogan Experience. Clip's pretty crazy, pretty incredible actually, with everything we know about Rogan and Dore and the current situation with Putin. Let's play that clip right now.
So you were getting emotional in the green room, listening to Henry Rollins talk about Putin. You're about to quote Chomsky. Like,
yes. So
what was that?
I just caught the end of it. I went in the green room, and everybody loves Henry Rollins, right? And
except Henry. That's why he's so good.
Maybe
he's constantly grinding. You know?
Yeah. But he was doing that thing about, Putin. You know, there was a journalist who wrote a book about him, ended up dead. Putin's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. As opposed to who?
Well, no, but you mean he's definitely a bad guy, right? We all agree that.
Yeah.
Watch Rogan. Even Rogan. And wait for what he says. Even Rogan sees through this. I mean, it's something else.
Of course. But, I mean, just because other people are also bad guys, it doesn't negate his point of Putin being a bad guy. What he was saying is just that it's very bizarre that the Republicans, these people that were, at the forefront of the Cold War, these ones who are, these are the people that remember Khrushchev banging on the desk, saying, we'll bury you with Kennedy. And these people are now, they're whitewashing Putin. They're essentially, trying to paint out Putin to be a good guy because Trump is in this position where he's trying to be friends with this guy.
I mean, there you have it from Joe Rogan. He even saw it. The whitewashing of Putin from the conservative movement. I mean, it's if anyone tells you otherwise, these are just some clips I grabbed too. Literally, I spent maybe 30 to 45 minutes, because that's all the time I had to do this, compiling these clips. There's more. A lot more. And these are just the ones on, popular podcasts, cable news shows, media outlets. Imagine what's out there from right-wing streamers and podcasters who are about my size, or maybe even a little bit bigger, who aren't on the radar to get clipped up all the time. It's incredible. It's incredible. And I mean, again, you could just see how this affected the base too. I mean, you got guys literally showing up wearing shirts saying I'd rather be Russian than a Democrat. Again, no knock on the Russian people, but you know what they mean here. We got literal people in MAGA hats showing up to Trump rallies in Putin shirts. We got people at Trump rallies. This is funny because I know for a fact this shirt is a shirt that was made by people critiquing Trump. But this photo is from a collection of photos at a Trump rally. And there are multiple photos of this woman who is clearly very supportive of Trump and is wearing that shirt not as a joke. I mean, don't let the right gaslight you on this. Again, you can critique whatever Democrat, Joe Biden administration, Obama administration, you could do that. Even from a right-wing perspective, nothing wrong with that. But they feel the need to not only do that, but talk about how much they love Vladimir Putin because he shits on the LGBT community. He gives them the same Christian fascist ideological vibes that they love to spread over here. And because he's an authoritarian, excuse me, it's late. And they love their authoritarians.